As always, things don't quite turn out the way you think, and then they do in other ways. So, a kind trail angel gave me a lift into town the other day, so I could skip the last 2 miles of road walking. And because he did that, I didn't camp outside of town. I camped actually at the RV spot. And because they had a hot tub with hot water from the springs over here, I feel so refreshed this morning. And I could also get in a whole stretching routine and a breakfast and sleep in and all of that. But I'm just gonna take it real slow. Gonna get my resupply box now, put together my food box for the next food bag for the next 6 days because it's a long stretch coming up. And I think I'm probably just gonna head out today. Get maybe half a day in or so. Don't stress myself too much. And so then those 6 days to Pi Town will actually 6 days be minus whatever I do today. And that is probably going to be a lot more comfortable. So I also have some time to check out the cliff dwellings up the road, which are something apparently people lived here centuries ago already, somewhere in the mountains and caves that they built. So I'm really excited to see that too. But resupply at Doc Campbell's first. Bunch of hikers waiting already for them to open and get their boxes. So my box made it here, and I also got coffee and a sandwich. All right, we're almost set here. So we're looking at 6.5 days of food, snacks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and some things I have to still get: milk powder, Parmesan electrolytes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dinners. That's actually one too much. I'll trade that away. Bunch of oatmeal and dried fruits up there. And that's the lunches. 3 of them are cooked. And I'll have some tortillas and figure something out from the store. So I'm just heading out of Doc Campbell's. It's 11:15 now. Did a third breakfast or an early lunch, depends how you want to call it. It's such a fun place. It's a tiny little shop in the middle of nowhere, but over the years they have really catered their products to whatever hikers could possibly need, and they're incredibly well stocked. I mean, obviously prices are a little higher than what you'd usually expect, but then again, this is the middle of nowhere. Of course, prices are not going to be a little higher. It's also fun because just everybody kind of gathers around and everybody has their boxes and does their resupply. So it's like a huge bazaar going on. People trading off stuff that they don't want or that they don't need, that they have access of to other people, and there's a lot of back and forth. It did take some time to get everything settled, get my feet taped up, sunscreen and everything, do all the resupply, bathroom, water planning, all of that. And I'm heading up the road now to Cliff Dwellings. Check that out. And the backpack is obviously freaking heavy. Got 7.5 kilos of food in there for the entire stretch to Pi Town. The good thing is that on the early sections you don't really need to carry a lot of water, so it's only about 1 liter of water. And then in the second part of this section, so for the second 100 kilometers, you need to have longer water carries again, up to 4 or 5 liters. But by that time the food bag will have gone down, so it kind of levels out again. I also had a bit of a karma moment this morning. So remember that little multi-tool that I found a few days ago? Carried it for 2 days, and I finally found the hiker that it belonged to and returned it. He was so grateful. And then I was talking about earlier how important smartphones are these days for just navigating out here and all kinds of other things. And then so I brought 2 charging cables. One not necessarily the backup, but just so I can charge multiple devices when I get to a charging station. They were both brand new, and on day 9 they both broke at the same time. So I mean, how much bad luck can you have? So I didn't really have a way to charge my phone. And also out here you obviously can't just go to the next electronic retailer and get a new cable. So I was kind of relying on fellow hikers who lent me theirs for a while so I could charge a little bit. And I checked the trail, the hiker box up at Doc Campbell's this morning, and lo and behold, there's precisely the cable that I need. So by now, sleeping in the tent has kind of become the norm, and it's a fairly comfortable setup I've got. So I get a good nights of sleep in my tent. And while it is warm out here during the day already, it gets to about 20 to 25 degrees. At night, temperatures kind of go down to 7 or 8 degrees. So there is this time between 5 in the morning and 8 in the morning where it's actually really cold. I mean, not terribly cold, not winter cold, but so cold that it's uncomfortable. And so you always have this, and because that is exactly the time when you have to get up, or when you generally wake up, because that's also when the sun comes up, you always have the situation where you're wonderfully warm in your quilt and everything's fine and you're comfortable. And then you have to get up, get into your dirty hiker clothes, freeze for an hour and a half or something like that until the sun finally comes up and the whole day warms up. So yeah, that is interesting. So because you always only ever get to see me out here in the sunshine, yeah, be mindful. There is actually colder temperatures at night. Another funny thing is that currently in the full moon phase, but the moon phase here is somewhat funny. It comes up quite early, around 10 or 11, I think. And then you have this super bright night out till 3 or 4 in the morning, because it's a full moon. And if I look out of my tent, I can essentially make out everything without even using a lamp. But then as soon as the moon goes down at around 4, it's suddenly pitch black night. And but you only have that in the early hours of morning. I absolutely hate road walking, but there is no other way to get from Doc Campbell's to the cliff dwelling, so I have to walk 3 miles down this fucking route. Right, because bear and mountain lions and rattlesnakes weren't enough. Cliff dwellings were apparently used around 1280 for a period of 30 years. And the people originally living in these lands just moved in and used them as dwellings for a while. And apparently they're found all over the regions. These ones are quite easy to access. So it's quite interesting to see how people lived in this landscape such a long time ago. You do wonder why they put it up there. My theory would be it's probably for defensive purposes, I guess. Also for climatic purposes, I would assume, because it stays quite cold. It is a very impressive display of human ingenuity, though. And I do appreciate the National Park Service for making it accessible to people like me. Thank you. Alright, so as a point of reference, carrying 6.5 days of food and 1.5 liters of water more than doubles the weight of my pack from what it was weighing yesterday. So it does feel quite heavy today. Back in the Gila wilderness. So as of today, I'm trying something new, and it is I've turned off my watch. So usually my watch tracks, what I'm doing, how long I've walked, average pace, all of these kind of things during the day. And it is important. Distances are important out here, because it is both important to know, where you are, as well as how much longer you have to walk to certain junctions that you have to take until to the next water source. So constantly having a look at navigation is critical. On the other side, it also, I don't know, it messes with me psychologically somehow. I don't really know how. It's hard for me to express. So I've just decided to try for this next section, just walk all day kind of, you know, be on my feet 11-12 hours. That is including breaks, and see how far I go. And I mean, I always have the option to look at my cell phone to know where I am and to, you know, get a basic idea of how much water I need to carry and these kind of things. But it won't be like a permanent reminder on my wrist telling me, oh, you're averaging that much, it's another 3 miles, it's another 2 miles. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. And I initially primarily used it because you know, you are out here and you calculate certain distances, specifically with relation to water and food. So there is a certain necessity for you to do a specific mileage per day, and if you're structurally falling behind that, you can run the risk of running out of food. Of course, you don't want that. But yeah, that puts you under a little bit of pressure, and I kind of had this nagging feeling the entire time in the back of my head that can't do too little, you can't do too little. So what I'm trying to do with, you know, turning off the watch is primarily to develop a better feeling for, you know, how much is a full day of hiking. Looks like we're getting closer to the river. We got flowing water again. So the trail kind of comes out of this canyon here. It's really cool because there's huge walls of rocks on either side. And once this, it's called Little Bear Canyon, and I hope it's only called that figuratively. So this canyon is pretty crazy that I was just in. It is opening up now and we're heading back into the floodplain of the Gila River, or specifically the middle fork of the Gila River. So we're back to crossing rivers again. Not sure what this is, but I think it might be poison ivy. Holy smokes, this part of the Gila River looks extremely different than from the lower section that I walked yesterday. You've got these massive stone walls on both sides. Really kind of hard to put into words, but these things are easily 80 meters high. It's back to river crossings. You're just walking in between those two walls, a little canyon that the river carved into the stone over the millennia. My arch nemesis, which is sand. Down here in the floodplain of the Gila River, this stuff is everywhere, and it saps the energy out of every step that you take. I guess breathtaking really is the best word to describe this section. Alright, I just had dinner and now I'm gonna do a couple of miles more to get to my campsite. You know the old saying, don't shit where you eat? Oh, in bear country, it's don't eat where you sleep. So that's why I'm trying to get a couple of more miles done for today, and that will also set me up to be able to finish this section of the Gila River tomorrow and make it all the way to where the detour is required due to the wildfire that is still ongoing west of the trail. The last information on that bushfire was that it had grown from 220 acre to 3,200 acre, so it's continued to grow, and it's still not contained, and it is unfortunately also moving east, so towards the trail that I'm actually hiking. But when we were at Doc Campbell's, so this morning, We're still about 12 miles off and not moving terribly fast. So I think we're probably safe. And if we're not, then I'm sure there'd be the Forest Service would reroute the trail accordingly.